Beyond that, I wanted to give a shout out as well to Black Mirror has started season 7.
Whoa, what's up?
Nothing. I, I know that.
You can thank Paige for this incredible idea, by the way.
That's bait. And I know what that is. I'm not taking that bait. I'm gonna be Mad Max up here. I'm gonna stay in the truck. Black Mirror has started. I really like Black Mirror. I enjoy that series, and I know what if your mom run on batteries, but actually,
what if?
But actually, what's particular and what I kind of realized about the series that I love is that it is going to age immensely poorly and has already begun doing so. And it is a moment in time show. Like this, Black Mirror could not exist before it came out, and it will immediately be rotten and aged like milk in a matter of months, right? Because of
months?
Because of the way tech works in this world, right?
Yeah.
So I love it because it's a very of the moment. Right now is the only time this matters. Like, you have to appreciate it right when we're on the cusp of discomfort with this particular subject. What
if your mom ran on batteries?
And so, you know, the whole bit where, like, you know, they went with like the kind of horror themed stuff to just be like, okay, we understand some folks were like massively uncomfortable when it just straight up overlaps with reality, and let's just do some fun direction bits with the last season. But this one, they're back and they're hitting on some shit that is, of course, of the moment, and, you know, probably. Like, yeah, like okay, maybe not a matter of months, but like definitely in a matter of years, watching these things backwards, there's going to be like, I can see the next generation of kids watching Black Mirror and being like, what? Yeah, that's the way it's always been. I don't get it.
The kids don't have time for Black Mirror. They got that skibbity shit.
Sure.
To brain rot their asses with.
But a pretty strong start. So just watch the first episode, Common People. With Rashida Jones in it so far, and it was a good one. But now that it's been, I guess the new season has come, I kind of wanted to just touch on something that happened in the last season, in season 6. I mentioned it when I watched it back then, and I didn't want to like get into the details about what it was about per se. And if you don't want to hear, I'm not going to spoil the specifics, but the topic that it goes into, I'd like to mention because I loved it and I think it's really great, and I also think it's like in the process of being expired as I describe it right now. The first episode of season 6 was called Lock Henry, and it wasn't clear what it was about at first. It was kind of following this crime that happened in the past, and you're kind of piecing together the details of it through, you know, these characters going back to visit you know, a childhood home. And it basically ends up being that the Black Mirror's take on something that I have been immensely uncomfortable with for a long time now, and I haven't heard anyone or anything really pointing at it. This is the first thing I've seen like directly calling it out.
Okay, what is it?
True crime weirdness when the fandom around like actual murder victims becomes entertainment. As that has become more and more of a thing, it's become super weird. And
Wooly, I mean, to the bored white woman housewife, you can either get really into true crime or day drinking.
Okay, well,
so like, I mean,
it's one or the other. Yes.
Like what? Like, yes, are you saying that they should become alcoholics? Is that what you're saying?
But I mean, from the moment I heard like My Favorite Murder is the name of a thing, and I was like, oh, that's what it's called, is it? And it's like does that hit on like? Is it about like what's fucked up about it and that's it? Or are we kind of getting into the fandom part of it? Or are we going Jeffrey Dahmer drama fandom with it? Or are we getting into that weird thing where it's like you're not really focusing on what the fuck happened and who it happened to, but it's like, let's get out the streamers and the cool t-shirts and the funny glasses, you know? I mean, it's obviously like that's a hyper exaggerated straw man of it, but there's a thing that you can see with certain types of Netflix depictions of it and stuff where you kind of, and certain podcasts as well, where it goes into like fandom entertainment around a real thing that people got super murdered by, and it is attached to the same weird thing that led to that cannibal that ate the from Japan that ate the woman in France, then going back and being on TV for a while. And people are like, let's have you be a guest on a bunch of random panels, until people got uncomfortable with it and eventually went, oh, maybe we shouldn't have the murderer that got away with it be a guest star on various shows. What the fuck, right? But it took a while for that to kick in, you know? So I feel like I remember hearing about that a while ago, and then like the way true crime shit has kind of progressed, there's been that like, did you hear about this insane thing that happened a while ago? No. Oh my God, that's fucked up, right? And in the best cases, you will learn about something that happened, and like the story being told through the documentary is not just informative, but like is relevantly part of it. And I'll quote Dear Zachary as probably one of the best examples of the story being told about this thing that happened. The documentary is important to that story and is relevant to it, and it matters. And then the feeling from that is so far from the mysterious Dahmer. Look how hot he is. He was so elusive and the genius mastermind, you know? And I'm like, ugh. So Black Mirror touched on that. And I went, fucking thank you for saying it, because it's weird.
So, like, it's always been my opinion that some of these things are just like gendered versions of the same compulsive human issue. So like guy that just sits around and fantasy role plays with his bros about, I would have stopped that I would have fucking stopped those.
Yeah.
Right?
I tell you what, should have been me.
Mark Wahlberg saying he would have stopped 9/11.
If it was me on that plane,
same
things.
Emotion.
I'm just saying things would have gone a whole lot differently, bro.
As like, I'm gonna catch this killer. Right. And it's like similarly to how like women have had astrology forever and now boys have crypto. Like it's the same, like I want to use my magic numbers to influence the world.
You can also
just through a gendered lens.
You can also make sure to seat your back towards every entrance and analyze how you would take down the terrorist that walks into the restaurant.
Dude, listen. That is actually a better example than the two that I've come up with. Because if you want to brain rot yourself on TikTok
while thinking about the Roman Empire,
what you can do is you can have like Sigma male video, and it's like, I always keep my back in the restaurant to scan for threats, and when I walk into the room I assume an alpha stance in order, you know, like all that fucking nonsense. And then you scroll up and it's like 48-year-old, like probably drunk wine mom walking up to her car and saying, hey, you ever see if your car has like a zip tie tied around the handle that has marked your car for human trafficking, and you need to, and it's like, it's the same exact emotional content, it's just being filtered through a different societal lens because they're crazy.
But then I always have that moment at the end of this, like, Jesus Christ, I roll my eyes and then I go, okay, but also I don't live in America, right? And so there's a moment where I'm like, I don't know, depending on where or what's up, right, how crazy shit might get in a given scenario. But at the very least, if we're talking about the astrology and the mental LARPing, you know, yes, there's a feed that goes down as well. And I think that, like, unfortunately, like, I remember hearing, like, the quote I remember was like, girls don't get into girls don't get into true crime as like because it's entertaining. We study that shit to learn from it, right?
They lie. They
and
lie.
I'm like, that is not true when you're telling me how hot you think Jeffrey Dahmer is.
No, women are attracted to serial killers because it's the closest they're going to get to dating a vampire or a werewolf.
Oh God.
That's why.
You're so threatening. You're Jesus. Oh boy. I mean, I know that like we've been online a long time. And
I have been online for a bit.
Yes. And I have certainly come across all kinds of dark corners out there on that internet. And there's a couple times where, you know, you peek in on something and you go, oh, there's a community over here. And you're like, huh, word? That's a thing.
Yeah.
And God, oh fuck, God, I just had the perfect example, but I forgot what it was called. The
Digimon are real?
No, not Digimon are real, but the one where you can have Alpha, Beta, and Sigma, Furry, Putin, Obama, and Biden and Trump.
Oh, like the furry Hitlers?
Omegaverse, exactly, right? The Omegaverse stuff, where you kind of peek in and you go, oh, okay, Obama is a Sigma Omega type, and he has to rut every now and then. So he's got to go find like a beta like Biden or so.
You know, Woolie,
to run with,
I want to say something here. I often say this to Paige when I don't understand what she's talking about, and it's fairly rare that it applies to you. You're just saying words.
Yeah, I know.
Like I know. What the fuck are you? You're just saying words in an order.
But the few who know what I'm talking about are freaking out right now, and I'm doing it for them. I'm not doing it for you. Yeah. I'm not doing it for anybody who's typing question marks. And anyone who's holding the question mark key and mashing enter, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the people who just spit their coffee out when they heard me say Omegaverse.
This is like me talking about the Fist of the Dog medicine, where he sprays the dog medicine on his hands to make his hands tougher. I understand.
Right. So to that end, you know, you kind of peer in and you go, oh shit, that's a thing, huh? Okay. And then you kind of close the door. And there is weird like stuff where like, yeah, we talk about like the Dahmer like fandom bits and things.
Yeah.
And like and I saw where a couple groups of that started branching off into like other like tragedies and then becoming fans of certain tragedies based on how attractive they think the perpetrator was, right? So there's like fan cams, like, you know, like K-pop stan fan cams for like murderers, and like
their fan cams for everything,
man. Yeah, and you would see a couple of these just being like, okay, but look how hot he is though over here when he's in this court deposition, you know, or other heinous like mass fucking death event footage where people are like, and I'm like, oh, there's a level of, I don't know what causes that, but something's going on there that might be, I don't know, it might be
your genitals.
Yes, but it's connected.
That's what caused it.
But it's connected to the thing that makes your hand write a pen pal letter to the murderer in jail. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that thing is, but I'm like, that's dark. And it's over there. And that's
I'm
part of
40,
the internet.
And what I've discovered is that there's a lot of people out there that are like, you know, like when you were younger, you're like, oh man, everybody's stupid or whatever. Now I'm old enough to be like, wow, tons of people are just crazy. Like tons of people are just nuts.
Yeah,
like just completely fucking nuts.
Like that's the end. Like that's the end conclusion, and that's foregone. But it doesn't mean that the journey to discovering the specifics of how that manifests isn't fascinating and wildly like, really, that's where we got to. Okay. Anyway, so
I think looking over at someone in the chat saying you are being so judgmental in Lamau is like the funniest possible takeaway from this.
Yeah. No, I'm being too harsh on those murderers and those people that, you know, like I should be.
Pleasure for the guy who ate those people, man.
No, the fan cams for the Columbine shooters. We should be more open-minded towards those accounts.
What if I
actually
could change him?
You know,
what if I could fix him?
The guy that like plowed into a family but like was rich and hot and got off, like, yeah, with his when he was drunk driving, like, we should be chill, actually, because
he's not the only one who got off, am I right?
Wow. Hey. Aphasia. So anyway, it's crazy. That's insane. That is not reasonable to say. That is not a reasonable thing. You're being completely unreasonable. Fuck that.
What if we kissed in the conjugal visit trailer?
I think that oh, excuse me, not aphasia. Affluenza was the
affluenza. That's the one.
That's the other one.
Aphasia's like you can't hear noises in your brain or something.
Right. Excuse me. No. Affluenza. That's the other one where you're too rich, so you didn't know that like other people's lives.
You know what the
mattered.
worst thing is about the affluenza thing? Like the explanation that this dipshit was so rich and coddled that he couldn't appreciate the degree to his actions harm people. I actually find that to be compelling. I genuinely think that is extremely real. I just don't care.
Okay.
I don't think that's an excuse.
If we check the tapes, you see a childhood where there was never a moment that taught the value of human life to the kid.
Shit, dude, I'm sure you've met like a child that was like 8 or 9 that you're like, oh, the parents fucked this kid up already.
I see.
This kid has never a consequence.
Right. So you can be diagnosed with it. It just doesn't affect the sentence whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I'm addicted to candy. Does that mean that if I ran over a family of 5 because the devil promised me candy? Okay, well, not if the devil promised me candy. That might actually, be a good excuse. But
long-winded way to say that, like, over the years, I've seen these moments of like people online, like being really into like heinous shit, and it's always been weird. But it's like, okay, whatever. That's just a small group of crazy shit going on over there.
No,
and then
it's not a small group at all.
But I'm saying it's ramped up, right? And then the version of it that we get in the form of the true crime variant now, where it's like it's just skirting on that edge. I'm like, okay, there's an episode of Black Mirror that touched on that, and I don't know that this is gonna, like, I don't know how relevant this true crime weird vibe is gonna be for the next couple of years. But at the moment right now, that shit hits. You know,
I think that I don't think this behavior has ramped up at all. I think this behavior is more visible and is more easily networked. I think the amount of people who have secret, like, internalized fan cams for murderers and scumbags has actually always been the same. But they thought that they were freaks because they never met other freaks.
Well, yes, yes, because there's the thing where like they get to network together and become more of a community for sure. But then there's also the part of like as that builds momentum and like lands on a streaming platform or becomes a more and more bigger thing, other people do kind of get into it, starting with the action. But also through like, here's the real case, here's the real murders that happened, and then here's the wrap-up show where we discuss like the latest, fan cams and memes about what's been going on in this thing,
Woolie, there's somebody in the chat just like nailed it perfectly. It's like the armpit and feet people. See, back in the day, if you were like an armpit guy or like a foot guy, you'd be too embarrassed to talk about it, because it was weird and you would never meet anyone in your whole life that was like that. And you'd be like, oh, I guess. Yeah. But now we have like armpitlickers.us or whatever the fuck. And they're having their meetups and they're like everybody's like, and this is like a totally harmless fucking thing. It's just gross as shit. But like now, like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, there are a lot of us. You know what? I should talk about armpit shit.
Yeah, probably.
No, stop.
Sure.
Stop it.
Sure.
Stop it. Shh.
Either way, I enjoyed that episode and that being a part of the discussion. So shout outs to Black Mirror. Watch it now because it's like milk. It's going off.
I don't know.
It's going off. Its expiry date is like every season has an expiration.
Episode aged really well.
Oh, the first episode of the first season?
Yeah, I think that aged really well. I think that's just as appropriate now as it was then.
Certainly, but I think not. But the same can't be said for all of them. And the "what if your mom ran on batteries" bit, it's like, yes, but, and then you one day you see your mom replacing her AA s.
I think the goofiest thing about the fact that we always laugh about that is like my father does run on batteries.
Oh, okay.
Like, unironically, my father has a pacemaker, and he has to every like 3 to 5 years he has to get the batteries changed.
There you go. Good stuff. We
live in a fucking nightmare. Woo!
Always have, always has been.
Yay.
Astronaut execution.